Hi, thank you very, very much for this opportunity. It has been a pleasure for me to attend. I couldn't be on everyone's presentation, but the ones I was at were really wonderful. I think this is a great idea. I love your blog and the idea of connecting everybody who is here through, a WordPress community, and I hope everybody is getting as much excitement and information as I'm getting. I'm a professor here at George Mason, and I usually teach Spanish at the advanced level, but I'm also like a visiting associate professor at the university in Spain, a distance university, for which I always teach in the spring, early in the summer, a class on e-learning tools and and Web 2.0 pedagogy. So I'm very familiar with the tools. I'm always trying to find solutions for the challenges the teaching profession has, not only for language teachers, but for everybody, but especially for my students and for people who have to be trained in a world that is so different to the one we had a few years ago. And this information, as Carl was saying, is going to be about information and how you can help yourself, help your students and use the web in the best possible way, so you don't get lost in this ocean of bytes of information. So the technology I'm focusing today is what we call, is known under different names, and the idea is to syndicate to the information. So first, let me go to the first slide so you can see what I'm going to do. I'm going to review a little bit again the concept of the social web or the Web 2.0, so you can see where I am. Then we'll go over what is this acronym RSS, or the content syndication, what it means, what you have to do, what tools you would need, and then of course what is more important, how you can integrate these things and why you can integrate those things in the curriculum, in the foreign language curriculum, but also for your professional life. And then I will give you some examples of challenges that we as teachers confront every day with our students, with their learning processes, their questions, their diversity, and how, from our experience as teachers, we know what we have to do. Even, if you're not familiar with technologies, you know what the students need. They need to be motivated, they need to be on task, they need to use the language. So what I'm going to do is to apply those actions that we know from our day-to-day experience, from our daily experience, to the technology. So you can see there is a relationship. There is a way for you to integrate not only this technology, but whatever technology you want to use in a meaningful way for yourselves and in the best way possible for your students. So as you know, and I don't want to take too much time on this this part of the presentation, because by now you know what we mean when we talk about the Web 2.0. But I just wanted to refresh, I know you are tired and you have been getting so much information. So I thought, I wanted to give you a little bit more of a background about why we talk about social web, or other types of adjectives related to the web, when we consider where we are right now. Before, probably most of you, I don't know how old you are, but most of you, it hasn't been that long ago, 10 years ago, 7 years ago, the web was incredible for everybody. You could connect to the Louvre or wherever in the world. You could send emails, but there were so many good new things, but it was mostly things made by others, or by people who could do HTML and other things. The sources of information were very little, and people who were connected were also very little. With some new technologies, some of them have been around for longer, but like wikis and the blogs and many other things, then suddenly people can produce information. And that's what we can use for our teaching as language teachers, because we want always our students to produce, and to produce for the real world. So we have now the door open for our students to go out there and to say things that make sense. You know, they don't have to talk about their cat to somebody who doesn't care about the cat in the classroom. They can go outside and find an audience for what they have to say, and that's the more important thing. There is an audience for what we have to say. There is an audience for what our students want to say, even at the very, very basic level. So we only need to help them find that audience, to help them find a secure and a meaningful way to get to that audience, and that's what this new web can allow us. Then, of course, you know, because there are so many people finding an audience and trying to get their space out there, the web is huge. And that's the problem. You know, we want everybody to be out there. We want everybody to be producers of information, but then, of course, then we have a lot of noise out there. So we don't want our students to produce noise. We want our students to use the web in a critical way, in a very, you know, in a modern way, where you say, okay, I have things to say, and I want to share that information with the world, but also in a safe way. So that's the development of the web. There are more and more things, more and more people saying things, more and more people producing information, and there are more and more tools that allow us to produce that information. And of course, there is that huge difference among people who are online. Most people still, even if you have the tools to produce your own information, most people, what they still do is consume that information. I mean, if you get the different statistics, it's still a very, very small percentage of the people who do something creative with the social web. I mean, most people, I mean, there are thousands of videos on YouTube, but most of them are just things that they haven't been involved in the production. But we'll see that. So let me go back to the. So, what are the consequences of this different type of web? I already said the expansion of the internet, and another thing that produces a lot of anxiety among everybody, not only teachers, is this constant launching of services, applications, tools, things that were trendy 3 years ago are not trendy anymore. There is an information overload. We don't know, I mean, even, you know, I've been using technology for many, many years, and I'm not scared about finding new things. I like it, but still, you know, every time, you know, if I'm a month without checking what are the latest trends, then suddenly there is something new out there that might be useful. So I completely understand why some teachers decide not to get so involved in this process. In any case, as I said, because the information is out there, the possibilities for exposure to authentic languages is also there. But how are we going to help our students to use that information for something meaningful? So what my goal when I use technology, I mean Web 2.0 technologies in the classroom, is not only to make them communicate in the language, but also, and maybe more importantly, to find strategies to use that information. First, to find that information, but not only that, to sort it out. I mean, it's very important that our students begin to use tags, because with tags, then you can find that information back, but and you get a sense of how you can relate information to each other, and you can find what other people have tagged before. And of course, then you need to categorize that information, because otherwise it's just a list of links. It's just something that you once saw online, but you can never retrieve because you don't know where you saw it. And more important, and this is also very trendy, I mean, you can reuse the information. There are people who reuse the information a lot. I mean, they just plagiarize